Dark chosen ones, you're not weak, you're carrying shadows for the world. You feel it, don't you? That weight in your chest that never quite lifts, the pressure that doesn't seem to come from your own life, but from somewhere deeper, older even. You've walked into rooms and felt the air shift, not because of what was said, but because you were there. Energies move around you. People notice. They may not say it, but they sense something. And you've spent most of your life wondering why you feel so much, so deeply, even when others walk through life numb, unaffected, untouched. You carry something. You've always known that. But what if I told you it's not your burden, it's the world's? We call them the dark chosen ones, not because they are evil, not because they are broken, but because they were chosen to walk the path that others fear, the path through shadow, the path through pain, the path where truth is raw and unfiltered. You, my friend, are not weak. You are not cursed. You are not lost. You are the soul who agreed before birth to carry the fragments of humanity's forgotten grief, its silent guilt, its unspoken wounds. You are the mirror no one wants to look into.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Look back through your life. All the times you were told you were too sensitive, too emotional, too intense, too dark. They weren't insults. They were signs. Signs of someone who sees beyond veils, who feels what others suppress. You are not here to blend in. You're here to transmute. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it breaks you. Because you're not just dealing with your own wounds, you're processing the unhealed shadows of generation, ancestral trauma, collective fear, global sorrow. You feel it all because you are built to hold it all. But here's the truth. Holding it doesn't mean being consumed by it. The shadows you carry are not yours to keep. They are yours to transform. They are old energies seeking light, and you, whether you know it or not, are the lighthouse. But no lighthouse is built without enduring the storm. No flame can shine without enduring the dark. And so, your suffering was never random. It was initiation. The nights you cried alone, the times you thought of giving up, the moments you felt invisible, those were the fires forging your inner diamond. You see, the world is obsessed with light, positivity, love and light. But what of shadow? What of anger, grief, shame, rage? We pretend they don't exist. We suppress them. We shame them. And so they fester. They grow. But someone has to feel them. Someone has to name them. Someone has to walk into that emotional abyss and say, I see you. That someone is you. You were never meant to be ordinary. You are the soul who volunteered to feel what others avoid, to bring awareness to what others ignore. And that is why you feel broken in a world that worships numbness. But here's the paradox. The more broken you feel, the more powerful you actually are. Because each crack is a gateway, each wound is a portal. And through those cracks, the light of awareness enters. You are not falling apart, you are breaking open. And in that opening, truth emerges, wisdom emerges, power emerges, but not the power to dominate, the power to heal, the power to see, the power to speak what others are afraid to say. Have you ever wondered why people gravitate toward you with their secrets? Why strangers tell you their traumas? Why children trust you and animals sense you? It's because your energy whispers, I can hold it. And you can, but that doesn't mean you should hold everyone's pain forever. You are not a dumping ground for the world's unconsciousness. You are a sacred vessel. And sacred vessels must be cleansed, honored, respected. So, here's a truth you may not have fully accepted yet. Just because you can carry pain doesn't mean you have to. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to walk away from those who drain you. Because your energy is precious. Your light is rare. And your presence is medicine. But medicine must be preserved. You cannot heal the world if you destroy yourself in the process. So, ask yourself, where are you leaking your power? Who are you giving your light to that refuses to heal? Where are you sacrificing your soul in the name of compassion? The dark chosen ones are not martyrs, they are alchemists. They don't drown in the darkness, they transmute it. But to do that, they must first recognize their own worth, their own needs, their own boundaries. You are not here to save everyone. You are here to awaken those who are ready. And sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is walk away. Let them face their own shadow. Let them find their own light. That you don't owe anyone your destruction. So much of your pain comes not from what you carry, but from believing you shouldn't be carrying it, from resisting your nature, from thinking there's something wrong with you because you feel too much. But what if your sensitivity is your superpower? What if your darkness is your gift? What if your wounds are the exact keys the world needs to unlock its healing? You live in a society that rewards numbness, that glorifies detachment, that avoids depth. But you are deep, you are raw, you are real, and that is your rebellion. That is your revolution. You are the soul who chooses to feel in a world that runs from feeling. That, my friend, is strength. That is courage. That is divine. But here's the question I want you to sit with. What if the pain you've been carrying isn't a curse, but a calling? What if your darkness isn't a flaw, but a map? A map to the parts of humanity that have been forgotten, rejected, abandoned. And what if, by healing yourself, you begin to heal the collective? This journey is not easy. It never was meant to be, but it is sacred. You are sacred, and your presence on this planet right now is not an accident. You are part of a wave of souls who came to anchor light through shadow, to remember what others forgot, to feel what others denied, and to rise not in spite of your darkness, but because of it. You were never weak. You were never broken. You were chosen. The sacred fire. Why your suffering is spiritual initiation. There's a truth that few are ready to hear, and fewer still are willing to live by. Your suffering is not a punishment. It is not a cosmic accident. It is not karma in the way we've been misled to believe. Your suffering is a sacred fire, a refining flame. It is your initiation into a deeper reality, the one hidden beneath the illusions of comfort, conformity, and control that most people cling to. You didn't come here to live a soft, forgettable life. You came here to remember, and remembering always begins with pain. Think about it. In every ancient tradition, the ones who became healers, seers, and sages were not those who lived easy lives. They were the ones who were broken open, rejected, cast out, mocked, silenced. Why? Because suffering strips away what is false. It burns through the ego. It destroys the masks we wear to survive, and in the ashes of that destruction, something real emerges, something eternal. You may not realize this, but your suffering has been your greatest teacher. It taught you to see through the surface of things. It taught you to listen not just with your ears, but with your soul. It taught you to recognize pain in others without them saying a word. That level of perception is not ordinary. It's earned through nights of crying into pillows, through days of pretending you were okay when you weren't, through moments when you wanted to disappear but didn't. You stayed, you endured, and in doing so you became something the world desperately needs: an embodied witness of truth. But here's the paradox most people miss. Spiritual awakening doesn't feel like bliss at first. It feels like death. The death of who you thought you were, the death of what you believed life should be, the death of illusions you held on to for safety. And when those die, it feels like you're dying, but you're not. You're being reborn. The pain you're going through is not the end, it's the passage. You're being initiated by fire, and the fire isn't here to destroy you, it's here to reveal you. Have you noticed how the deeper your suffering, the more compassion you begin to feel? How the more pain you survive, the more silence you can hold? That's not by accident, that's by design. You're being shaped, tempered, forged. Just like steel in fire, just like ancient warriors in the wilderness, just like prophets in the desert. This is not weakness, this is sacred preparation. The world doesn't need more people who are pretending to be okay. It needs people who have touched the bottom and returned with the medicine. People like you. The ones who didn't just read about darkness in books, but lived it, felt it, wrestled with it, broke under it, and then stood back up, even when every part of you wanted to stay down. That's what makes you powerful, not the absence of pain, but your relationship to it, your ability to walk through fire and emerge with gold in your hands. And yes, I know the fire hurts, I know there are days when it feels like too much, but I promise you, you are not being punished. You are being purified. Life is not trying to break you, it's trying to make you real. Your suffering is not a wall, it's a doorway. The question is, will you walk through it consciously, or will you resist it, numb it, avoid it, and stay trapped in the illusion? You have to choose. But if you're listening to this, I think you already have. You wouldn't be here if your soul hadn't already whispered yes. Yes to the path of depth. Yes to the path of remembrance. Yes to the sacred fire. And now that you've said yes, your life will never be the same. Because once you've seen what's real, once you've felt what's underneath the noise, you can't go back. And you won't want to. Let me ask you something deep. Something most people are too afraid to even consider. What if the worst thing that ever happened to you was also the beginning of your awakening? What if the trauma, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the loneliness, what if none of it was random? What if in some mysterious way your soul chose those experiences not to suffer, but to remember who you really are? I'm not saying the pain was okay, I'm not saying what happened to you was fair, but I am saying this: nothing is wasted, not even your wounds, especially not your wounds, because your wounds are where the light enters. That's what Rumi said, and he wasn't being poetic, he was being precise. When you allow yourself to face what hurt you, to feel it fully, to stop numbing and start listening, you begin to unlock something ancient inside you, a power, a clarity, a knowing, and that knowing whispers, You are more than what happened to you. You are more than your past, more than your trauma, more than your story. You are a soul who chose to walk through darkness, not to be consumed by it, but to carry a torch through it. That torch is your light, and that light is not just for you, it's for the world, because the world is full of people in pain, people who haven't yet found their way out, and when they see you, when they feel your presence, your truth, your depth, they'll know they're not alone. They'll know healing is possible. They'll know the fire didn't kill you, it awakened you, and that spark will light something in them. That's how healing spreads, not through theory, but through embodiment. For example, through people like you. So the next time you find yourself asking, why me? Remember this, because you were strong enough, because you were ready, because your soul knew that only those who walk through the fire can carry its wisdom back. And you, my friend, are carrying wisdom that the world has forgotten. You are not being broken, you are being rebuilt. The burden of empaths, why you feel everything and how to survive it. There are souls who walk through this world with an open heart and no armor. Souls who can't help but feel the pain in another's voice, who flinch at cruelty even when it isn't directed at them, who absorb the sorrow in the air like their skin is made of ancient sponge. If you're still listening, that's likely you. You're not just emotionally intelligent, you're energetically porous. You don't just understand others, you become them. Their pain enters your body, their joy lifts your spirit, their confusion clouds your clarity, and while it gives you the kind of intuition that can read a room in seconds, it also leaves you exhausted, overwhelmed, and often unsure of what's yours and what isn't. Let's speak the truth that few dare to admit. Being an empath is both a gift and a curse until you learn how to master it. Because without awareness, empathy becomes a vortex, a black hole of other people's emotions, traumas, and shadows that you unknowingly pull into your own field. You become a sponge for suffering, a silent holder of pain that no one sees but everyone feels better around. Have you noticed that? How people feel lighter after talking to you, yet you walk away heavier? That's not imaginary, that's energetic transference. And if you don't learn how to cleanse, protect, and reclaim your energy, it will slowly erode you from the inside out. But here's the deeper truth. You didn't become an empath by accident. You chose it. Not with your mind, but with your soul. Because someone had to feel what the world refuses to feel. Someone had to become the emotional barometer for a humanity that has forgotten how to cry, how to grieve, how to sit still with what hurts. And so you were born open, sensitive, intuitive. But in a world that sees sensitivity as weakness, you were never taught how to use it as strength. You were told to toughen up, to stop overreacting, to get thicker skin. But what if your soft skin is your superpower? What if your sensitivity is not the problem, but the portal? You were never meant to shut down your heart. You were meant to learn how to hold it, not just for others, but for yourself. That's the part most empaths miss. We learn to hold space for everyone else, but no one teaches us how to hold space for ourselves. And so we become caretakers, healers, listeners, lovers, but we forget to become guardians of our own soul. We forget that empathy without boundaries is self-destruction, that compassion without discernment is martyrdom, that saying yes all the time is not kindness, it's self-abandonment. So how do you survive as an empath in a world that doesn't know how to feel? You learn to feel without absorbing. You train your nervous system to recognize what's yours and what isn't. You ground yourself daily. You create rituals that cleanse the energetic residue of others, salt baths, breathwork, nature, silence. You stop trying to save people who aren't ready to heal. You let go of the belief that you are responsible for everyone else's happiness. You stop confusing connection with obligation, and most of all, you learn to shield your energy not with walls, but with intention. Empaths are the emotional lungs of the planet. You breathe in what others exhale, but lungs need rest. They need breath. You can't keep holding your breath for everyone else. You have to exhale. You have to release. Otherwise, your gift becomes your prison. So ask yourself right now, where am I carrying pain that doesn't belong to me? Whose energy am I holding that I never agreed to carry? What would it feel like to give it all back? Not with anger, but with love. And here's something radical. You are allowed to center yourself in your own life. You are allowed to stop taking responsibility for other people's emotions. You are allowed to say, I love you, but this is not mine. That's not selfish. That's spiritual maturity, because the truth is, you can't help anyone if you drown in their ocean. You help by becoming the lighthouse, not the life raft. And to be the lighthouse, you must stay rooted, grounded, and clear. You must know where you end and they begin. It's time to stop apologizing for being sensitive. It's time to stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You're not too much, they just aren't used to someone who feels this deeply. You were never meant to fit in, you were meant to feel in, to walk into a space and bring awareness, to speak what others are afraid to acknowledge, to hold a frequency that heals without saying a word. That is your power, that is your medicine, but only if you protect it. So the next time your heart aches and you don't know why, the next time you feel heavy and nothing in your life explains it, I want you to pause, breathe, and ask, is this mine? Or did I just unconsciously agree to carry someone else's storm? Because you don't have to carry it all. You were never meant to. You are not here to suffer in silence. You are here to feel with wisdom, to love with boundaries, to heal with grace, and to remind the world that sensitivity is not a flaw, it's a frequency. The final revelation. Your darkness is the world's awakening. There's a secret the world has buried so deep, it forgot it ever existed. A truth so radical, so disruptive, that speaking it can shatter illusions people have lived in their entire lives. And that truth is this: your darkness is not a problem to be fixed. It is not a stain to be cleansed. It is not a flaw to be hidden behind curated smiles and spiritual bypassing. Your darkness is the very medicine the world needs, but is too terrified to taste. You've been taught to fear it, to suppress it, to label it as something unholy or broken. But what if your darkness is not your shame? What if it is your gift? You see, the collective consciousness of this planet has been asleep for a long time, numb, distracted, addicted to noise, afraid of silence. And in that sleep, we've buried our shadow. We've hidden our grief under productivity. We've disguised our rage with politeness. We've painted over our loneliness with digital connection. But none of it heals. None of it transforms. The shadow doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. It festers, grows, screams from the subconscious until someone, somewhere, is brave enough to feel it. That someone has always been you. You were born with a torch in your hand and a target on your back. The torch is your truth. The target is your sensitivity in a world that fears mirrors. Because make no mistake, you are a mirror. a walking, breathing reflection of everything people try to hide from themselves. That's why they misunderstand you. That's why they project onto you. That's why you felt like an outsider, even in your own family. You didn't come here to fit into the dream. You came here to wake it up. And awakening is never gentle. It's raw, it's messy, it's terrifying, it strips away everything false. And you, by the very nature of your soul, carry the vibration that triggers that process in others. Not because you want to, not because you try to, but because you are it. You are the living embodiment of shadow transformed into light. And that transformation didn't come cheap. It came through nights of breaking down, through years of spiritual loneliness, through battles most people will never see. But you made it through, and by doing so, you became a living portal for others to do the same. So what happens now? Now that you know your darkness is not your enemy but your offering, now that you understand your pain wasn't meaningless but alchemical, now that you see your sensitivity wasn't weakness, but a sword forged in ancient fire, now you rise, not as someone who has all the answers, not as a guru on a pedestal, but as a human who has walked through their own hell and come back with a lantern. A human who can say not just, "I understand," but "I've been there, I know that pain, I survived it. And so can you." That's the kind of light the world needs now, not the blinding light that denies darkness exists, but the steady light that includes it, that welcomes it, that holds it with love. Your darkness taught you how to sit with discomfort, how to breathe through chaos, how to love without conditions. And that wisdom can't be faked. It can't be taught in books. It's earned, and the world is starving for it. People are waking up and realizing that the old ways no longer fulfill them, that success without soul is empty, that happiness without depth is fleeting. And when they look for answers, they won't trust the ones who've never been tested. They'll trust you, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And this is the final revelation. Your darkness is not just yours, it's collective, archetypal, holy. You've been living not just your own story, but the story of a species trying to remember itself. Your healing is not isolated, it ripples. When you forgive yourself, someone else feels permission to do the same. When you speak your truth, someone else finds their voice. When you embrace your shadow, someone else stops running from theirs. That's how awakening spreads, not through force, but through presence, through example, through resonance. You are the resonance, so don't hide anymore. Don't shrink. Don't wait for the world to be ready. The world will never be ready for someone who came to change it. You are not too much. You are not too intense. You are not too deep. You are exactly what this moment in history called forth. A soul brave enough to carry darkness not as a burden, but as a blessing. To walk through the valley not as a victim, but as a guide. And to emerge not untouched, but transformed. Because the final truth is this: the world doesn't awaken through perfection. It awakens through presence. Through the raw, unfiltered presence of those who have seen the dark and still choose to love. That is you. That is your path. That is your power. And now it is time to walk it fully. Not in hiding, but in honor. Not in shame, but in sovereignty. Not as someone trying to be light, but as someone who is the light, because they dared to embrace their own shadow. You are not weak, you are carrying shadows for the world, and that is the most sacred strength there is.